Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, how groups throughout Kentucky are lending a hand to those affected by Helene's damage. Plus, the stage is set for the vice presidential debate showdown between Tim Walz and J.D. Vance tomorrow. What you can expect from the candidates coming up.
And we are clearing out and warming up. Find out when in a few minutes.
Dedicated to Southern and Eastern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. Hurricane Helene and its remnants have wreaked havoc on millions of Americans in multiple states, and it's led some to lead to a call to action to help those who are in need of life's basic necessities. Jessica Umbro talked with those who are calling on anyone with just $1 to spare to help a neighbor when they need it most.
All the pictures of the interstate wiped out and everything else, and decided to maybe just try to get a small drive going.
Tyler Stegman, a paramedic firefighter with Menifee County EMS, says when he saw pictures and videos of the damage left behind by Hurricane Helene, he knew he wanted to do something to help.
I've been through a lot of stuff in my life, and there's always been somebody to be there to support me. Living in this area, that's just how we do things.
He's not the only person wanting to pitch in. Allison Neese, who worked the 2022 Breathitt County floods, says it's about paying the favor forward to those who helped in her community.
Tennessee was the first people to come in and help us, so we're just trying to do a little bit, to help them in their time of need. We're going to do what we can to take that load, just a little bit. They can put it on our shoulders.
Neese said as a mother of 3, her heart breaks for those who are having to rebuild from the ground up.
Whenever you see your child lose everything, or you see people you love lose everything, it has a lasting impression on you.
They're looking to collect donations of non-perishables, hygiene products, blankets, and clothing to deliver to communities in Tennessee that need it most.
And we may be a little town in eastern Kentucky, but we are the ones who will come whenever you need us. We will reach out our hand to you.
We'll always have each other's back. It's very important to try to give back what's given to you. That brings good karma to your life.
In Wolfe County, Jessica Umbro, WKYT.
Donations can be dropped off at the Menifee EMS station, Wolfe County Sheriff's Office, or the 145 Roadhouse. We have additional details about this at WYMT.com. And coming up at 6, we'll share how some other local groups are also working to help folks impacted by last week's natural disaster. Following the remnants of Helene, many counties in East Tennessee and western North Carolina declared states of emergency. FEMA is offering disaster relief to those affected by severe flooding. Folks in 6 Tennessee counties are currently being offered Category B public assistance from FEMA. Those in North Carolina can receive individual assistance from FEMA. That assistance comes from FEMA's Individuals and Households program.
We had some heavy rain push through portions of the area earlier this afternoon. That since died down for the most part, and now we're left with temperatures in the mid to upper 70s. Look at Manchester, 78 degrees, 77 in Somerset. Charleston's at 76. We go down to Williamsburg, 72, 75 in London, 74 is the current temperature in Monticello. And we take a look at the temperature change over the past 24 hours. Substantially warmer across all of eastern Kentucky. Some places like Prestonsburg, right on the money with this time yesterday, but you go to Harlan, 6 degrees warmer, 5 degrees warmer in Somerset, 4 degrees warmer in Lexington. Again, a few splash and dash showers on live pinpoint Doppler radar. The majority of us seeing a mixture of sun and clouds right now. In the next 12 hours keeps a small chance of rain in the forecast till we get into the overnight hours, where we'll stay mostly cloudy with temperatures hovering in the mid 60s. When you wake up in the morning, temperatures in the upper 50s and low 60s will greet you. Now, coming up in the first alert forecast, we're going to talk about when the rain chances will finally exit out of here and when we could see the return of the 80s for one day only. Details in a few minutes. Steve.
Eric, thanks. A man who reportedly led police on a chase near the University of Kentucky campus was arrested. An arrest citation says Robert Caines left the scene of an attempted break-in before speeding through campus. The citation says Caines drove in the wrong direction down Administration Drive. He was stopped and arrested along Versailles Road shortly after. Caines is now charged with wanton endangerment and reckless driving. The man accused of trying to assassinate former President Donald Trump in Florida pleads not guilty. Ryan Ruth faces 5 charges, including the assassination attempt and assaulting an officer. Prosecutors say he stalked Trump during the course of a month. Ruth reportedly set up what they called a sniper's nest on the fence bordering Trump's West Palm Beach golf course. Prosecutors say the former president was minutes away from Ruth's line of sight. Defense attorneys for two former Memphis police officers accused in the death of Tyree Nichols have rested their cases. That leaves the attorney for Justin Smith as the last to present his defense in federal court Monday. Smith is the third officer pleading not guilty on civil rights charges. His attorney called a use of force expert to the stand as an expert witness. He is one of several witnesses the defense team has called throughout the trial in the 2023 beating death. Democrats filed a lawsuit against Georgia State Election Board over a new rule that requires counties to hand count ballots cast at polling places on Election Day. They argue the hand counting rule conflicts with state law and the board overstepped its authority when it approved it. 3 Donald Trump allies on the board approved the new rule this month. The lawsuit says if the hand count rule goes into effect, the general election will not be orderly and uniform. New York City Mayor Eric Adams is seeking to dismiss the federal bribery charge against him. Adams was charged with bribery in addition to several other charges last week. Prosecutors accuse him of using his power and influence to garner free trips and stays at luxury hotels. But in the new court filing, his attorneys argue the claims in the indictment, quote, do not amount to a federal crime at all. Republican J.D. Vance and Democrat Tim Walz are laying low today, finishing final preparations for tomorrow's vice presidential debate. The 90-minute matchup will be the first and likely only debate for the candidates. CBS's Caroline Cummings is at the CBS News Broadcast Center in New York City, where the debate will take place.
Senator J.D. Vance arrived in New York City Monday ahead of Tuesday's debate. The Republican VP nominee has been prepping with Trump's senior advisor Jason Miller and had a recent mock debate. Minnesota Congressman Tom Emmer stood in for Minnesota Governor Tim Walz.
We don't know just how unpopular he is in Minnesota.
Walz's last public appearance was Sunday at a farm in the battleground state of Michigan. The campaign for the Democratic VP nominee tells CBS News Walz is getting help from some of the same people who helped Vice President Harris take on former President Trump in their debate last month.
I can't wait to debate the guy.
New CBS News polling finds 65% of Democrats are enthusiastic about Walz as the VP candidate compared to 49% of Republicans who were enthusiastic about Vance. Both men are from the Midwest, but author Kate Anderson Brower, who wrote the book First in Line on the vice presidency, says don't expect Midwestern nice.
So I think it could get pretty ugly. I think people are going to be interested in watching for that reason.
CBS Evening News anchor Nora O'Donnell and Face the Nation host Margaret Brennan will moderate but won't interrupt the debate to fact check. CBS News says that will largely be up to the nominees.
But CBS News audiences will have access to real-time fact checking during the debate. On screen, there will be a QR code that they can scan with their phone, and it will send them directly to fact checking on the CBS News website.
Unlike the presidential debates, both campaigns have agreed that microphones will remain on throughout the event, all of it giving voters a chance to see how the man next in line for the Oval Office will govern. Caroline Cummings, CBS News, New York.
You can, of course, watch the vice presidential debate right here on WYMT beginning at 9 p.m. tomorrow night. Migrant crossings at the U.S.-Mexico border remain at their lowest levels since 2020. That's according to new federal data obtained by CNN. Officials credit President Joe Biden's executive action that was announced back in June. It bars migrants from seeking asylum at the U.S. southern border and implements harsh consequences on those illegally crossing. In September, federal data shows U.S. Border Patrol recorded around 54,000 encounters along the border. Tens of thousands of dock workers who run major shipping ports along the East Coast could walk off the job as early as midnight, disrupting the national supply chain. Labor negotiations between the Longshoremen's Association Union and the U.S. Maritime Alliance, which represents ships and ports, remain at a standstill. Union members are demanding significantly higher wages and a total ban on the automation of cranes, gates, and moving containers in their new contract.
It's all about being prepared, and I want to reassure everybody we have been taking countless precautionary steps to speed up the process of unloading these ships and deal with the cargo containers in advance of this. The food supply is secure right now.
President Biden has indicated he will not intervene in any strike, saying resolving the dispute is a matter of collective bargaining. Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, a new study finds 1 in 3 holiday shoppers are planning to spend less than they did last year. We have some shopping tips to consider ahead of the holiday season.
And in the world of weather, we're seeing a mixture of sun and clouds out there, but plenty of sunshine is in the forecast. Details in a few minutes.